Hello, friends. Welcome to Pod Maverick After Dark. I'm Kirk Henderson, editor at MavsMoneyball.com, joined as always by fellow site runner Josh Bowe. It has been a week since we talked. Josh, how you doing?
I'm doing good. We're back-to-back weeks in the middle of August, so I'm going to pat ourselves on the back for not missing a week in August.
So you're gonna love this. So fellow Mavs Moneyball grinder Dalton Trigg, who's still making chicken salad out of chicken shit at DallasBasketball.com every day. Like, they find all sorts of stuff to write about. But he was like, "Hey, I've not done my podcast in like 2 months, and it's great."
Really? I didn't notice that. But I'm very bad about keeping up with podcasts. So.
No, for sure. And that's just going to be the nature of it sometimes. So, we had earlier today, Josh and I were kind of wondering what we were going to talk about, and I decided I wanted to sort of lead off just sort of talking to you about the Team USA performance and sort of future thoughts on that, because I the more I think about it, the more I think it does have to involve, like, Dereck Lively is going to be in the mix for a team.
He's at least an invite for sure.
A select team, something or other. It's very interesting. And then we'll talk a little bit about the schedule in the latter half here, and some of the games that are trickling out and being released. And so, all right, Josh, I have to tell you, I don't know how you would do this because you're better about the dark interwebs than I am. But if there's a way for you to to watch Team USA versus Serbia, I cannot recommend it enough. On a basketball level, so this is a semifinal to get to the gold medal game. On a basketball level, this game rivals, for me as a Mavs fan and then just a basketball fan as a whole, it rivals Game 2, 2011 in the NBA Finals, and on a really just an impartial basketball fan level, it rivals the almost all those Golden State Warriors Cavaliers games in 2016. Like, I told my boss, I called him and I was like, we're not doing this. I'm not going to act like I'm working for an hour. Team USA is down at the half to Serbia. Serbia is playing. And I was just like, I'm going to go focus on this. He was like, okay. And then my wife and I are sitting there watching it middle of a work day because it's on Peacock. And the third quarter comes along and Team USA finally makes a dent and they get it to like 9, and they had been down by double digits. So it's like Serbia really, not only did they they had a bit of an outlier shooting performance, but they just out executed the United States. That's all it really came down to. There was no luck involved. They were playing better basketball start to finish. Fourth quarter comes along, Josh. At the end of the fourth quarter, at the end of the fourth quarter, they let Jokic go out of the game for like a 90-second rest. That's the time you think the United States would take advantage. They head into the fourth quarter down 15. The Serbia was just playing out of their mind.
So they extended their lead with Jokic on the bench?
That's right. They extended the lead with Jokic on the bench in the short burst. And so you come out and you're like, oh my God, what are they going to do? What are they going to do? And you proceed to have this fourth quarter of, number one, just I can't express how weird it is rooting for Joel Embiid. It fundamentally felt very strange. But he played, and this is why I want you to go find this, because it's really hard to describe. He played a really amazing fourth quarter where he scored like 7 straight huge points for the team, but also was horrendous on the boards where Serbia just had multiple looks. But this is what happened to Serbia. Serbia missed 10 straight three-pointers. Like, their three-point shooting just died all of a sudden. And then the United States at around the maybe 3 to 4 minute mark gets what very clear, like, the FIBA referees fucked this up. There's simply no way around this. Anthony Davis absorbs a Nikola Jokic foul. Like Jokic goes through Davis trying to get to Durant and fouls him. Durant shoots a 3-pointer. They count the 3-pointer for Durant. And I really don't think they should have, if you're looking at the bang bang nature of the play. They count the 3-pointer and then give the ball to the United States, who hit another 3-pointer. And so it's a 6-point swing in one possession of sorts. And then from there, it felt like the United States just had them on the ropes. And it was nuts. Like that was pretty incredible. Now I have to ask, then they closed it out. They win by 4. It was a wild finish to the game. And if you watch any of the stuff afterwards, the United States players like help some of the Serbian players up off the ground, like just a real like this was an awesome game and everyone knew it type thing. I assume you have to have seen some of the social clips from the gold medal game against France. Did you?
Yeah, a little bit. Not a ton, but yeah.
What about the Curry like blitzkrieg?
Yeah, the Curry 3. Yeah, the Curry going nuts in the fourth quarter.
Blitzkrieg is probably not appropriate against France.
But, yeah.
He apparently in only one time in his career had he hit that many threes with that margin of the game, like 2 minutes to go or less. He hit 4 threes. I mean, and they kept calling him like a dagger, but really like France was already done. He just like slammed the door on them 3 or 4 times.
Or dirt on the grave.
Yeah, but they were like, shout out to the French. Like Victor Wembanyama didn't play most of the second quarter. I wonder if he was like overhyped because he ended up playing 30 minutes exactly, but he didn't play almost any of the second quarter. And I wonder if he like almost exhausted himself early. He was dope. He was real dope. Like he made Embiid look silly a couple of times.
Yeah, that French team didn't look great on paper, and they had a really good. I didn't get to watch a lot of the games, but they had a really good Olympics. Like, I don't think people thought they would make it to the gold medal game, right? Everyone kind of assumed that it was going to be USA and then either Canada or Germany, right? So
France beat no,
they beat Canada.
Yeah, they did beat,
and then Serbia beat Germany too.
Yeah,
they did. Okay, I thought Serbia beat Germany.
They beat both teams. No, because the United States beat Serbia.
Oh no, but didn't Serbia beat Germany to get to the gold medal game?
No, the United States versus Serbia was in the
was in the semifinals.
Okay. And then they played Germany in the bronze medal game.
Oh, okay.
So it was dope though. Gerson, Yabusele, I think he plays for Real Madrid. He has a $2.5 million buyout, so he's not coming to the United States this year. Dunked on LeBron in a way I have never seen anyone dunk on LeBron ever. Like, it was one of those moments where if you're watching it live, you know any friends are like, I got like 16 texts at once from people being like, oh. Anyway, this is a Dallas Mavericks podcast, but I just sort of I wanted to talk about it because it was just such an incredible display of basketball.
Yeah, that's the moment. That's what the basketball world is talking about right now. Yeah, it was great and it was cool because it's felt like, I mean, USA's won what? They've won like 5 out of the last 6 school. Yeah, so this isn't accurate, but it does feel like they kind of gave more of a shit about this Olympics. It felt like than previous. Like, even though they still won the gold medal, I don't know. It just felt like there was just more. This was more important to them. I don't know. I
heard some really interesting stories. Like Tyson Chandler talked about talking about the 08 Olympics, how Kobe was so locked in that he didn't like being around other athletes like at the Olympic Village. So they would go to stuff that was mandatory, but otherwise they would stay by themselves. And then I heard Tim Bontemps talk and Brian Windhorst talking with Tim McMahon mentioning how the basketball athletes, even though they did stay off-site, like outside of the Olympic Village, they actually mingled with the other Olympians quite a lot. You know, there's all those social clips of Anthony Edwards with the table tennis team, which were incredible. And like the United States men's team went to go watch the track and field stuff, and they went to watch the win. So there's just all sorts of like really what the Olympics is supposed to be about, which I thought was pretty amazing and really fun to see. And where, the Mavs angle from all this and where my head is there's a lot of there's pre-consternation, and I think it's fair about the 2028 Olympics, which number one are going to be held in Los Angeles. Kevin Durant be 40 years old. LeBron James, if he's still playing, I kind of think he'll still be playing. I don't know why, but all these guys talked about how like, oh, it's their last ride. It's their last ride. But now you're sort of looking, and really the younger players on the team in bigger moments didn't like the best younger player for the Americans in this Olympics was Dallas Mavericks, the guy we like to make fun of, and Devin Booker. Like Booker was just outstanding. I mean,
he's not a young. I mean, he's not old, but yeah,
no, but he's a veteran.
Again. Yeah, he'll play again.
He's probably, you sort of expect Durant to try to play again, just because Durant seems to be made for Olympic basketball, even though he'll be 40. But then you look around, it's like Curry carried them through. LeBron, who was the MVP of the Olympics, which I didn't remember being things, and Durant. So it's like three guys that are just old, relatively speaking. And you have to assume that they're not all going to play next year. So it's like the reason the Mavs angle that I take on this is I have to wonder if a guy like Dereck Lively will be in consideration for the Olympic team. Now, I don't understand why anyone thinks Joel Embiid will be like alive and playing basketball 4 years from now. Like the man, like he's not built for this many basketball games. And so I find it really hard to believe that he'll be playing in 4 years. Though if he does, that changes things.
He might frankly, not be Team USA, by the way.
That's right. Right. And frankly, the same thing for Anthony Davis. Now, hopefully, I wouldn't mind if any of these guys played again. I think it'd be great. Bam Adebayo probably be back. You kind of go through the potential bigs where it's like Jaren Jackson Jr. is not an Olympic basketball player because he doesn't rebound. You need bigs who rebound. Bam Adebayo plays. Chet Holmgren has to be in consideration. I actually, this will be a talk sooner rather than later. I think Lively and Chet are a lot closer together than a lot of people think. Like a lot of people, if you talk to them, think there's, Chet's up here and Lively's still got a way to go. It's just going to be very interesting to see from the big man point of view.
Yeah. I mean, Cooper Flagg, do you count him as a big man?
I don't know, because he's just like sort of a do everything guy. He's not really a true big. And really defensively, where the United States dominated was they were playing Bam at power forward. So Bam and Anthony Davis together, which is just the meanest shit you've ever seen defensively. Like they were disgusting. It was pretty dope.
Yeah. I think both me and you are pretty confident that he'll be on the team, but obviously we've got the Mavericks bias. But I think even if you remove that, I mean, he will 100% be in the mix. He'll go to Vegas where they do the tryout. Right. Like he'll be a part of that process. Absolutely.
And I think that's really cool. Like that's just an underrated, because from a bonding perspective, from just an experience perspective, I really think that sort of thing is pretty neat.
And especially how much have we heard that the Olympic stuff is where all these teams get for these, I mean, this free agency deals, the trades, and Lively's got such a great personality. Like, is he going to be the Maverick? Because the Mavericks are at a disadvantage because obviously Luka's never going to be that because he's playing for the Slovenian team. He'll never be on Team USA. Is Lively going to be their kind of their pitch man to sell Dallas as an organization when he goes up there? Like that's kind of cool. They never the organization hasn't had that ever because Dirk and Luka are the two stalwarts of the franchise.
Michael Finley was on, I want to say, like the dreaded 2006 team that like resulted in things. The 04 team was a disaster. Obviously, they lost in Greece. The 06 team for the FIBA tournament, I think, was somehow even worse. Like there was a stretch in the early 2000s where Team USA was really rough, and like Josh Howard might have gotten like a select team invite in there. I don't even think they called it the select team at that point. It was just like they're looking for bodies. And so the Maverick participation has always been fringe at best. So
yeah, that'll be cool.
Well, we're 14 minutes in. I'm just going to go ahead and cut us to break real quick. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. Josh and I are, I think we're inching towards the point where, maybe another 3 weeks where I think I'm going to be looking and wondering when basketball is going to be back on my TV with regularity. Until then, he and I are going to be recording like this once a week, maybe twice. I'm trying to schedule some more interview shows. I'm going to try to talk to my friend Adam Matez a little later this week. He's with DNVR. Not sure if I'm actually going to be able to get that booked. But I want to start doing some more shows just to fill out the feed while we're in off-season mode. But those of you who are listening for the first time, that's a choice. It's the middle of August. What are you doing listening to a Mavs podcast? But if you're new here, go ahead and click the subscribe button. Anybody listening on the audio feed, please leave a review if you're interested. Very much appreciate that sort of thing. I think next week we will maybe do we'll probably have more scheduled to talk about because the schedule is supposed to come out like either later this week or early next week. Maybe we'll do a little bit more of a mailbag, but if send me notes, emails, that sort of thing. We'll try to answer your questions. I'm going to plug in some audio ads here for those of you listening on the audio stream. Thank you so much for hanging out, and we will be right back. Okay, got some schedule stuff to talk about. Thank goodness. Shout out to TGK TV, the Garcia Kid. He's got his own YouTube show that he has been running diligently throughout the summer. He's in the comments down there. My favorite is when I get a Twitter notification at like 11 o'clock on a PM on a Thursday, and I'm like, this is off-season dedication. That's what we're talking about. There's just not much to talk about right now, but we did get a little bit of schedule news the last few days. Which thing do you think we should start with?
Christmas Day always felt like a given. So do you want to start with opening night and then we'll go into Christmas Day?
Yeah, let's go with opening night. That's that's like that's the latest piece of news we've got.
Yeah. So what do we got? So the Mavericks are going to open the season against the San Antonio Spurs. Is that going to be did they say in Dallas? So that'll be opening night. That's October 24th. That'll be the TNT Thursday opening night game. Well, I think the season opens on a Tuesday, right? Like they do a TNT Tuesday,
Wednesday, Thursday.
Yeah.
It's kind of a big flurry of stuff.
Yeah. So Tuesday. So October 24th, TNT Thursday, Spurs. Chris Paul, by the way, on the Spurs, which is I keep forgetting that he's on the Spurs now. But this is the second season because I believe Victor's first NBA game ever was opening night against Mavericks last season. And that was actually a pretty good game. So
I do not remember that far back.
Yeah, and it was a clutch game. The Mavericks won. Remember, everyone was freaking out that it was a clutch game against the Spurs.
Oh, I do remember this because
night.
Lively actually looked really good.
He had like 16 points or something.
Yes,
he had a better game than Wemby did.
That's it. Yeah, and frankly, I'm just going to be clear about this. Wemby offers these quotes like in the Olympics. He after losing in the gold medal game, he offered some quote up to Brian Windhorst, which everybody was super into, where he said he is worried for his opponents because he's learning. And I'm just like, motherfucker, win a game, like win something. I'm tired of all that. I hope I want to beat the Spurs to death until the Mavericks really can't anymore. And I very much hope the Mavericks start that game running those guys off the floor. I love hating the Spurs. I love that hating the Spurs has some tangible value now. It's not like
it hasn't been a thing for a while.
Right. Hating Kelvin Johnson is just not the same. This is nice. Good. Yeah. What a great time to start the season. I like this one.
So that'll be fun. And then the other piece of news, schedule news that also dropped, I guess this was today, the group play for the NBA Cup, formerly known as the in-season tournament. So thank God they actually gave it like a real name. The Mavericks group got announced. They are in West C, and holy crap, their group is awesome.
It's not fair. It's not fair. And I don't really understand how it happened other than it's like a cover for, the Mavericks have two division opponents in this group. These games are both so go ahead though. Explain who are they playing here?
They're in a group with Denver, New Orleans, Golden State, and Memphis. So presumably they're in a group with four other playoff teams. Because I know Memphis was bad last year, but they are going to be back at full strength. Presumably they should be a playoff contender.
If you really go through it, the only teams in the West that aren't playoff contenders are going to be Portland and the Spurs. And the Spurs are going to try because Victor's a psychopath, and they should try.
Even if they don't want to make the playoffs, Victor will probably be good enough
to play real hard. Yeah. And I want to the Emirates NBA Cup. Nice. the fact that the Pelicans and Grizzlies are in the like they have 4 games. No, I'm sorry, 2 games against let's just see here. So the Mavericks only play. All right, I'm an idiot. So it's 4 games total for group play, but 2 of those games are against division opponents. Division stuff in a really tight conference race matters. And I'm just a little fearful because one of the things we've talked about kind of as the offseason goes along is that we as a fan base collectively think the Mavericks need to have like a 55 win season. Like they need to be a top 4 seed.
Yes. For a variety of reasons.
For a variety of reasons. And I think that the way this stuff goes is it puts like a kind of a fake value on the early season games. And as one of my group chats today was debating like how deep do you think Kidd goes in his rotation? I'm like, my opinion is that he plays like 11 or 12 guys depending on the night. Like he's just going to try stuff for a while because that's the nature of Jason Kidd. And that you throw all this together and it's like, man, it feels like rock in a hard place kind of thing because the Mavericks are pretty good, but they're also playing. I mean, they're obviously very good, but they're playing, they'll be playing all these tough opponents while still trying to figure things out. And I can't help but wonder if the team as a whole institutionally just doesn't put that same emphasis on the top 4 seed as the rest of us does. That's what I think of. It's my giant jump to conclusions, Matt, whenever I see these games. And I'm like, because you remember, like, they just didn't care about this at all. The Mavericks were out of it after almost they got waxed by the Nuggets in the very first group play game last year. And
I don't even think I think Kyrie missed it. Like, I don't think they were at full strength either. Yeah, it's tough. I mean, their division, like even just take away like the tournament, like just their division is absurd. Like New Orleans, Memphis, San Antonio, Houston. Like I know Houston and San Antonio aren't playoff teams, but Houston was a pain in the ass last season, and they'll be even more so this season. Victor and San Antonio is only going to get better, and then New Orleans and Memphis are going to be playoff contenders. So yeah, there's not really a lot of days off in the Western Conference. And this tournament play is kind of the same thing. I mean, they play the first game is going to be 2. So it's kind of interesting. The first game of the in-season tournament is for the Mavericks is at Golden State on November 12th. So that's also going to be Clay's first game as a visiting player against the Warriors. So that's going to be like, there's going to be a lot of eyeballs on that game. It's a TNT game, late night game. So there's going to be a lot of eyeballs on that one. That's for sure. And that'll be interesting to see. It's going to be weird to see Clay as a visitor in playing against Steph. That's just like the first games are going to be like kind of whatever with Clay. Like we'll get used to it. But when he gets on the court and he's opposite of Steph directly, that's going to be when it's like, oh, okay, this is a new era, I guess.
Man. Just a lot to ponder, a lot to look forward to. You said something, and really, it's like the dead of the off season. So this is worth you said something a couple of weeks ago. We were talking about the Cowboys, like the training camp, the Cowboys being empty.
Oh yeah.
And you made a comment to the effect of, and this is just how we sort of think about site stuff, guys. Like it's a little behind the curtain because we have like an incentive to do well, but we don't have like that much of an incentive to do well. It's kind of more of like as a website, as a podcast, like what do we want to put into it? Because at a certain point, there's like diminishing returns. And you made the point of like, you're like, man, dude, to our whole staff, you're like, people are going to be paying attention to the Mavericks from the opening tip, which was not the case last year. And I think that's absolutely the case.
They were they were so under the radar the first first few months of the season. I mean, I don't think people, they didn't really start. I mean, we had to like yell at our national media friends who were like, how are the Mavericks this good? And we're like, they
started off 8-2 and then they played under 500 basketball until the trade.
Yeah.
They just happened to be slightly above 500. Like they were, and it's margins. It is what it is. But I think you're right that I think all eyes are going to be on the Mavericks for a variety of reasons early in the year. Some of those narrative driven stuff, but eyes are still eyes. And so it's up to the Mavericks to sort of step forward and perform.
Speaking of all eyes on the Mavericks, they're playing on Christmas again. And I honestly think they're going to play on Christmas every year that Luka, as long as Luka's wearing a Dallas uniform, right? Like they will always be a Christmas Day game.
Yeah, like Giannis Antetokounmpo was like annoyed on social media that the Bucks didn't get one, and I just sort of scoff and laugh because I'm like, number one, like just me as a guy with kids and you as a guy with kid, these Christmas Day games aren't fun. Like they're not fun, and like the NFL has 2 games on Christmas Day, and it just the emphasis on the Christmas Day games sort of drive me crazy because I don't remember very many good ones, and they're all very hyped, and it's like, yeah, at least the Mavericks are playing here, but it's when you look at the schedule, who are the teams? Like read off the matchups.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't even have that up. I've just got the Mavericks. I just know it's Mavericks.
I sent it to you a second ago. Let me look for it. No, it's good.
Oh, no, you got, Spurs, Knicks, Wolves, Mavericks, 76ers, Celtics, Lakers, Warriors, Nuggets, Suns.
And so you sort of have to assume the Mavericks are going to be one of the earlier games, just from the fact that the Lakers at Warriors, Nuggets at Suns, those are both West Coast things. Like those will probably be later, which means the Mavericks might like play like 3 p.m, which from like an us perspective is annoying, but maybe for other people, they'll be excited to be able to watch it. So it is what it is.
You remember like pre, when you were 18, 19, 20,
absolutely.
Like Christmas games were like being able to like sneak off and get on the TV and watch basketball games all day. Like I remember doing that.
No, it's great.
We didn't have a huge family like growing up. Like it was like our Christmas when I was growing up was literally just me, my 2 brothers, and my mom and dad. We would like open presents like early in the morning, and then my parents were like, "All right, let's just fart around." Like we didn't really have a lot of tradition, so I literally be glued to the TV all day. I was like, "This is awesome." But
yeah.
You get older, it makes it harder.
There's just more stuff, which is, it's supposed to be
good.
fun.
Yeah, right.
It'll, and in the end, I'm more glad that they have it than not, because I think a lot of people like our shows and like our content. They look forward to it for the exact same reasons that you talk about. But it's just like you read it, it's like, because like, and selfish me, like if there's football on, I kind of want to watch football, and I love basketball, but
Are the Chiefs playing on Christmas?
Yes. Yeah, on a Wednesday Chiefs game. Just the weirdest sentence in existence. But,
do you feel like they're gonna? Because it was like I felt like the NBA was like, okay, Mavericks Suns, that's the rivalry, and then the Suns kind of fell off. Well, the Suns just kind of detonated. Both teams kind of changed, so they're not really. It's just Booker and Luka, so it's almost hard to create that animosity. Do you feel like they're now going to just lean into Wolves Mavericks as like a little rivalry because they like Edwards versus Luka and the storylines they could come with that?
I do, and you're looking at the stars and who you want to get on TV. I think that's the one for me. So
that'll be fun.
Oh well, any other tales of worth passing along for the week?
I don't know. I think that's about all the Maverick stuff. I do know I was on a little hiatus last week from both real work and Mavericks work. But I'm back now, and I'm trying, you get that brain your first day back at work after PTO, and Box has a million, if you work an office job, you're just like, you're kind of underwater trying to get back into the swing of things, but also trying to recalibrate my brain. Cause it's all, I know it is August and there's nothing going on, but like, we gotta start doing stuff. So I got a couple of Mavericks pieces that I want to do that I've been thinking about since the playoffs ended. And one of them is definitely going to be about like Luka and his usage rate and like his health and like how can the Mavericks get him to the end of the season healthy and without having to be the alpha and omega of everything they do. And I just kind of looked at some usage rates of all the title winners since from Boston back to when Toronto. So that's from 2024 to 2019. You look at the usage rates of their highest usage players in both the regular season and the playoffs, and it's like you compare to Luka, It's like not even close. You can even go back, like you look at what LeBron's were during his finals runs in Cleveland and Miami. You look at even like Michael Jordan. Like I think they have usage rates back then, but like Michael Jordan and like that. Like you just don't see usage rates as high as Luka on NBA champions. And that's not even me trying to say this is Luka's fault, because for most of Luka's career, the roster has necessitated his usage to be as high as it has. But I feel like post trade deadline, post Kyrie, now they've got Clay. Like there's an opportunity for the Mavericks and Luka to kind of recalibrate what the Mavericks need from Luka that can benefit Luka, because I really do think some of this usage stuff is leading to some of his injury stuff. Like he's finished seasons injured. Like the last 5 years, you think about like all the injuries he's picked up right around the playoffs or towards the end of the playoffs. Like he has not finished seasons healthy consistently since his rookie season. So they got to find a way to get him to the, and you just can't, like, I don't think you can have, his usage rate every season since 2020 has been at least 35 or higher. Like even last season, it was 35 when there was so much talk about him giving up the ball more, which he did in ways, and they increased tempo, but like it's still 35, which is near tops of the league.
Right.
Like, they just get, so I'm just going to write a piece, not to give away the whole piece right now, but like, I'm just going to write about like, hey, they've got a roster now that can probably ease this up. And they need to do it not just for like the on-court basketball reasons. Like it's just better for him to have a lower usage because it just means other guys are doing stuff and contributing. And again, this isn't me trying to say Luka's like ball hogging and not giving his guys opportunities. Again, like his roster has needed him to do this. But they finally built a team where I don't think they need him to do as much. And then I think it'll just benefit him physically. Like we talk in Slack a lot about Luka's fitness. And one of the points I've made is like all this stuff it doesn't matter how good a shape he's in if they keep asking for, either he keeps asking for or the team asks the workload from him. Like he could be LeBron James level athlete. If he's rolling out a 35, 36 usage every season, he's not going to make it. Like LeBron never had usage really this high as Luka had. Like, so I don't think there's a body fitness in the world that can handle his workload without breaking down, if that makes sense. So I feel like I just kind of run right on that, because a lot of talk about his fitness, I feel like gets into really hot takey, people get really passionate about it because it's you can get kind of ugly about it if you go down the wrong road.
Right. And it's like, it's it becomes very tribalistic. Like it's happened to me. It's happened to me like 9 times. And it's like, like my favorite, it's like people that it's like, I knew who Luka was before you were on the internet. Like, what are we doing? Yeah. I love Luka. Just lighten up. Oh well, but no, it's fun because it's you get this good and you get this close to an NBA title, and really, I think hopefully we're not thinking about Game 3 of the finals, in years to come. Like there's just little incidents where it's like if things have been done a little bit differently, do the Mavericks end up, if Luka doesn't slam his knee into the ground against the Clippers, because I think that was when he really jacked up his knee even worse than it already was. It's like, do they play different? It's like you go look at some of the playoff stuff. Like I saw some clips floating around this week of the game log clips from different people on Mavs Twitter. And it's like, Luka just went on runs in the regular season that he did not do in the playoffs. Now you can say, okay, it's because the intensity's ramped up. And I think you're right. I think he was more injured than we'll ever really know.
Yeah. And I don't think we can, I just don't think you can have that fitness conversation while you're still asking him to have that workload, because I just don't think he'll ever be fit enough to do that, because I don't think anyone can. It's not even a Luka thing.
Yeah. Well, I'm finishing up. I'm finishing up my not Mavericks related, but I wanted to talk about it anyways. I'm finishing up my summer as a youth basketball coach, and we are we're attempting to go. I think I will have been, if we lose on Saturday, I will be 1-18, I think, which is just like not, we're talking like mid 90s Mavericks level of bad, but I've learned the past couple of weeks some of the people that I run into in real life are actually podcast listeners. So I just wanted to shout out my friends Sophie and Carter, who are parents of another boy on one of the teams Parker is on, and my friend Ricardo, who is the father of one of the boys on a different team that I coach, who came up to me after the second game and he said, "You look like you could use a hug." because I was having a real hard time. Because it's like all the boys that I coach have gotten a lot better. But the teams we're playing are all better than us. So it's like, so, and then it's like this YMCA ball. I yelled at a teenage ref this weekend because one of my boys like got hurt because they weren't calling fouls. And I'm like, you could use the whistle. So I'm like yelling in front of a whole bunch of parents, but not like, basically it's like me after a frustrating Mavs loss minus the cursing, where I'm just like loudly berating this teenager where, because I mean, boy got hurt. Like I want, it's like the kids, it's very fun. Like I would say like kids at this age, it's so funny to watch. You're gonna get a kick out of it once your kid plays youth sports. They just don't know their bodies. So they occasionally get like incredibly pissed off at one another. And then it's like WWE where all of a sudden they're just like, boom. Anyways, I look forward to maybe never coaching basketball again. I'm not sure if it's for me. We'll see.
Are you not built different enough?
I don't know, because I don't think I know, and I think I know enough to teach to where they're like 8 to 10.
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you need to just teach older kids?
Maybe, but it's like at that point, some of these kids are amazing, and like that's the other thing. It's like some of the training and things they have ability to do now. It's really wild to watch how athletic and just how gifted some of these children are. So that part's actually really cool to see. But it's then shout out to Josh McSwain, Josh McSwain, fire Kirk. He says in the chat. Anyway, yeah, I'm looking forward to kind of getting back in the swing, but I'm going to try to enjoy these next several weeks of lighter content. I did want to note to the people that have applied. Thank you so much to Mavs Moneyball for some of the writing positions we have open. I'm going to do my best to get back to everybody this week.
We're looking at everything, so we appreciate everyone.
Yeah, no, it's very cool that people are interested. One of the questions that I put on the application, Josh laughed at, which was, "Are you familiar at all with Mavs Moneyball?" And I put that on there because I got recommended by a guy named John, who's no longer on Twitter. He recommended me to Lisa because he knew me from another site. And I didn't know about SB Nation because like early part, like you just kind of found stuff on the internet. Like so many people I really love and
early SB Nation was the Wild West.
Oh, it's crazy. Like, and then you really go to like the DallasBasketball.com forums. Like that was where a lot of people, older people in particular, like Ben Collins wrote posts there, and now he owns and runs The Onion. And it's just like all sorts of weird stuff happened in the early days of the internet. And so it's like, I don't ever hold it against people. And they're like, no, I didn't know about your website, because it's like, it's a website. Who cares? But I do think it's pretty neat. Just the volume of applications that we got always makes me just nice to read.
Yeah.
So we'll get back to people there. I think that's it.
Yeah. Did we touch on the Bally Sports, Diamond Sports story that Matt Martinez aggregated?
Yeah, Matt Martinez did a really
late to talk about this?
No, because I think it matters. Basically, the gist of it is like if Bally's parent company is able to stay solvent, things get very interesting for viewing options for Mavs fans next year. I'm reading that right.
Yeah, I think the story that Matt aggregated from Sports Business Journal starts: if Diamond Sports Group emerges from bankruptcy in the coming weeks or months, multiple sources told Sports Business Journal the company has discussed eliminating the RSN regional sports network contracts for as many as 5 of its NBA teams, purportedly the Pelicans, Thunder, Grizzlies, Pistons, and Mavericks.
Wow.
So a lot of teams have started to get away from Bally's and Diamond Sports Group, which owns Bally Sports Network, which has just been a mess. And they're trying to do their own kind of local over-the-air solutions. The Jazz and the Suns, I think, most famously kind of started doing that. The Clippers, I think, are doing it this season. Not surprised that the Mavericks want to be one of those teams, because they've been hit pretty hard with this Bally Sports stuff, because it's a big TV market. And Bally's is not, basically, unless you have satellite or certain satellite and it's not all cable or satellite packages, it's just tough to watch the Mavericks. You have to buy the Bally Sports stream, which is $19 a month, which wouldn't be the worst deal in the world. Like if you're someone who doesn't already pay for TV, like it's not that bad. But then the app was just atrocious and the most unreliable thing I've ever used in my life. I mean, Kirk, you've seen, like, I would send messages and be like, "Hey guys, I don't know if I'm going to be potting or recapping tonight because the Bally Sports app isn't working." So it would be cool if the Mavericks were able to get out from under this and do be able to be over the air. They tested this last season. I think they did 10 games on WFAA, which is locally in the DFW area, channel 8, which you can get with an antenna. You don't even need a TV subscription. So hopefully they can.
Cool, man.
They got to figure it out.
You want more people to watch the games.
Yes.
You want more people to be able to take this in. That's kind of the bottom line.
Right. It should not be this hard to watch professional basketball.
And it's like, to finally circle back to something like the Peacock, which broadcasts the Olympics. Peacock is I think a look into the future of what live sports broadcasting is going to be. I was getting up and watching it with my kid because he just doesn't sleep and wakes up at 5 and needs a bottle. And it was live on, and you could pick whatever event you wanted. It was crazy, Josh. We're talking like as many as 20 live streams at once you could pick from. And it was seamless. So like there's and according to I want to say it was either Forbes or no, it was Wired magazine. I read this really lengthy article about kind of the success of it, and people want options and will pay for it.
Yes.
I mean, I know
they'll pay for quality.
I know, I'm sure a lot of our viewers at this point are younger people overseas, people that kind of, frankly, we'll just say borrow streams to watch basketball. But you get to a certain point in life, guys, where you're old as shit and you're willing to pay for things. And like, you will. Like, I think if when
you have more money than you have time.
Yes, more, because like searching for streams is awful when you can't have it. But then it's like you watch a 4K stream, like the streams that were on in the playoffs, like the ones that were
on Max, the NBA. Yeah,
it's like, oh yeah, this is what it ought to be like. I'm glad you brought this up. This is a good topic.
So that's cool about Peacock. So like you really impressed. So that gives you some faith and confidence with the NBA deal, because there are going to be a lot of games on Peacock.
And maybe not necessarily with the announced stuff, because that's kind of a different ordeal, but like the presentation and the technology is good. Okay. And so it's like Peacock's like $6 a month right now, and maybe it'll go up, but I think more and more sports are going to be going to Peacock because NBC is going to just buy the rights and there's going to be stuff there. So I was just impressed by it, because when the technology isn't there, like League Pass 12 years ago was so fucking bad, it's hard to articulate. And that's largely because of the RSN problem.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, for sure. And the nice thing about over the air is you don't even need, that helps with the time. And, it's easy to find for us olds that don't want to search. And then for people that affordability is an issue, go to Best Buy and get a little antenna, or go on Amazon, order yourself an antenna for like $20 and you get channel 8 for free. Just plug it into your TV. So
this is a great point.
If you live in DFW.
This is a great point from Josh McSwain. Unfortunately, it probably means more D Wade. Vader, no voice. Yeah,
he's probably going to be their color commentator for their NBA games.
Well, and Noah Eagle was incredible. So it's just, and I the Garcia kid says, I'm too poor, I need stream search. But
that's why you need over the air. That's why you need
over the air. Like, yeah, so it's like the ability to get like an antenna and watch basketball like it's 1948 is pretty fucking great, because the antenna stuff is awesome if you've ever seen it work.
Good picture quality too. Like you get HD signal.
That's right. And that's the real clutch point of it. But then also, Mr. Garcia kid, that's a tax write-off for you if you're making any money. You need to pay for your streams. Anyway, this has been fun. As always, we find more to talk about than we ought to.
Somehow got to 45 minutes, basically 44 minutes.
I'm going to throw this up. Remind me to write a post about this tomorrow so I can actually get a post up, because I've not written anything in a week. And then I'm going to go watch Dark Matter or something with my wife. I love all of Apple Plus's money laundering shows. It's the best.
Get it in while the getting's good, because they might be all going away soon. Those Apple shows.
So I think they'll be spending less money, but it's like Apple has more like has more money than all but like 20 countries. It's they're kind of like, that it's always a good show of stuff. But yeah, we're looking forward to stuff trickling back. We'll be back next week and find more stuff to talk about. Everybody be good, and thanks so much for hanging out with us. We will talk with you guys soon, and go Mavs.